Buckle up, you guys. This may not be a review you want to hear. So, in my video like a month ago, I was reading Onyx Storm and I said that the week after I would do a review. I forgot to do that. And technically, I've still not reviewed this book. So this is the world's first glimpse at my thoughts on Onyx Storm. And let me tell you, it's not that positive. I feel bad. But also, I'm here to be truthful. And yeah, let me get into it. So I just want to start by showing you my cute little Waterstones edition with the sprayed edges, because she is pretty, and she was in the same price as the standard edition. So yeah, we got her. I did not fall into the trap of getting the Fairylit edition. I did sell my Fairylit Iron Flame and Fourth Wing because I was like, I don't need these. I don't need so many copies of a book series I don't actually like that much. So let's get into it. And if you haven't noticed, yes, my mic is held on the Witch King sword. It's amazing. I got it from eBay. So, Onyx Storm. Let me get started by saying I did not really like Iron Flame. I didn't mind Fourth Wing. It was probably like a 3.5, 3 3/4 star for me. I think just because it was different at the time, it was dragons instead of fairies, instead of vampires. So I did kind of like it. I don't think it lived up to the hype that it got on Book Talk and on Instagram. I'm sorry, I don't think it did. Iron Flame, again, literally the last, 2 chapters saved the whole book for me. The rest of it was mid. I think I only rated it 2.5 or 3 star. I can't remember. It was pretty mid. It was forgettable, I'll be honest. I went into this. I didn't do a recap read. I watched a couple of recap videos and I had genuinely forgot what happened in most of the book. It was that forgettable for me. So I don't like posting negative reviews. I tend not to. But people want to hear thoughts on Onyx Storm. I've had a couple of comments, a couple of DMs and stuff. So here it is. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Onyx Storm. Let me start this by saying I am so done with Violet. I am so done with Violet. I can't stand her. I do not like her as a female main character, and that is coming from the same person that didn't like Bryce in Crescent City either. She gives off too much of that, oh, it was me, but I'm also so strong. But oh my gosh, I can't protect myself, but I'm so strong. I hate that. I hate it. There's just something that I absolutely hate about it. I can't put it into words, but reading it just puts me off the character. I don't really like her at all. I find her really selfish throughout the book. I found her really moany throughout the book. I just didn't enjoy it, and I'm sorry. I am sorry. I don't like her as a character. She just doesn't give off good vibes to me, at all. I'll look quick gander at my notes here a minute. Here I am once again. Violet and Xaden's romance. Oh my god. It has become more and more insufferable as the series has gone on. It went from oh, he's the bad guy, ooh, Shadow Daddy, all that there in the first book, which we liked. We enjoyed that. Second book, it was a bit, I don't know, it was very, it was the whole thing with Kat as well in the second book. It was just starting to get annoying, and Violet gets more annoying about the relationship in general. She's just very oh, you don't love me enough. And then in this book, oh my god, I couldn't stand it. I genuinely, skim read most of the romance plot in this book because it was just, I couldn't stand it. It's just, oh, I love you, but I can't trust you. Oh, I love you, but I can't control myself around you. But it's not even in the way that you want to keep reading it. It's over and over and over. How many bloody times? We get it, Xaden. You're going to fry her. Sorry, I shouldn't have sworn. Oops. You're going to freaking fry her because you can't control yourself. Okay. We get it. Just do it. It might make it a bit more interesting. My God. But I couldn't get on board with the romance at all. I genuinely skim read I find that there was nothing to get from their relationship. They obviously got together so soon in the first book. Yes, there was that little bit of will they, won't they, but it wasn't enough. And there's not really, bar like Cat in book 2, there's been nothing really that threatens their relationship. Like even in this book, there's the whole, oh, he's a teacher now, you can't be with him. And like, I'm sorry, but how many dark romance books have we read? How many romance books have we read where it's a forbidden romance between a teacher and a student? Like, of legal age, may I add. We've seen it before. Big deal. Like, they're going to do it. We know they're going to do it. Like, I don't get why this was brought in. Like, it doesn't threaten the relationship. It doesn't make the relationship more interesting. There's been no proper conflict that makes this relationship actually worthwhile being invested in, that you're like, these guys can pull through. They can make it. It's just the same old crap. And it is boring. I'm sorry, it is boring. Like, give me something where there's a real threat to the relationship. There's like something massive that happens. Like, I'm not saying this is the perfect example, but in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, I know, very different. Eva loses her memory. She forgets about the love she had growing for Jax, and Jax has to try and win her back. There's the whole thing with, I've forgotten his name. It's a stupid name. There's obviously the storyline with Apollo as well, where he's trying to kill her because of the curse. Like, there is actually something that threatens the relationship and makes, like, you're so desperate by book 3 for them just to get their happy ever after. Like, to the point I cried. Like, I literally read that third book in my living room in the space of an hour and a half, and I sobbed. Did record it for TikTok. But you know what I mean? Like, it gives you something you want out of that relationship, and this just doesn't. It just doesn't. And I'm sorry, like, it was boring. It was boring. I was bored. Another bit to add into the romance thing and why it was just repetitively boring. I'm sorry. Is having sex the only way you can show your partner you love them? Because it seems to be for these two. They're so desperate. They're so desperate to bang. And it's like, oh, wow. How romantic. Like, gosh. Wow. I'm sorry, what? Like, you're in the middle of a war and all you can think about is banging. Like, what? Bro, what? Like, come on. There is so many more. Like, I don't know. I just think, and there's like pure little sprinkles of like, oh, but he got her a really pretty nightdress so they can bang. Like, the whole subplot of their romance is and not even like, I understand this is a spicy dragon book, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but like, give me more plot. Give me more Riddoch, first of all. We like him. Bring back Liam from the dead. Thank you very much. We like him. I don't give a flying hoot about Violet and Xaden at this point. Like, they could be side characters in this series for all I care. Writing wise, I found this really waffly. I kind of feel like Rebecca seems to put just a lot of stuff into the books, and stuff that doesn't actually make a lot of sense, or stuff that we haven't heard of before. Like, I didn't recognize half the characters mentioned. Like, I genuinely had to go back to book 1 and 2 and be like, who the fuck are these guys? Places, didn't know. But she just name drops them as if like we know everything. Like, as if we've got a little crystal ball to look into the Inferion series and be like, ah, yes, blah, 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 from the 7th Legion. Yeah, we know him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then these places just kept getting added and added and added. And I understand world building. Completely understand it. Could we not have got more of that in book 1 instead of just banging on about dragons? I wanted more world building. I wanted like world building in book 3. Book 3, it just seems that she's kind of run out of ideas and she's had to fill it in with world building because it's either world building or sex. And that's it. I'm sorry. I am being harsh and I'm sorry, but I told you guys, I don't in my reviews, in my channel. If I don't like it, I don't like it. And that's the end of it. I'm sorry. Like, that's just that. How it bees. Okay. I do find her writing at times structurally not great. Like, grammatically, it doesn't make sense sometimes. There's like sentences stop or start or pause midway, and they just shouldn't. And I don't really know why. I don't know if it's like her way of doing dramatic effect or what it is, but it doesn't really make sense, especially in the conversational parts and the world building parts. It just seems lazy. It seems like it wasn't corrected, and it probably should have been, to be honest. Now, I find plot-wise getting actually into it in this book, like I said, the world building in this book was mega heavy, and I don't think it should have been done here. Book 1 was really good plot-wise. Obviously, there was quite a lot of romance developed between between Violet and Xaden. Obviously, there was the whole like secret, like the marked ones. There was Violet having to prove herself as a dragon rider because she wasn't supposed to be it. You know, there was a lot to go off plot-wise. Book 2 started to tank. We got a little bit of plot with like the griffins and whatnot, more of the venom. Book 3, I don't know, like I genuinely just feel like she's running out of ideas at this point, and there's 2 more bloody books to do. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to read them because I'm over halfway through this series now, and like I just need to see how it ends at this point. I need to see if she can pull this back, because right now I feel like book 4 and 5 are just going to slog. But anyway, book 3 plot-wise, where was it? We had Violet and Xaden trying to have sex every 5 minutes. We had Riddick cracking jokes 24/7, which, FYI, I love him. Can we bring him back more? Arndana's whole plot was probably the best bit of this, but even then it was wishy-washy. It was wishy-washy. Like, we were flipping, dragged along for pages upon pages upon chapters. And then it's such a unsatisfying conclusion. And then obviously we get the second conclusion. But that first one of her, like Den, like her dragon family, they don't want her because she associates with, you know, Xaden in his semi-venom state, and, you know, she's been corrupted by the humans. Like, it's so unsatisfying. And then when she eventually does get picked up by one of them and away they go, that's it. She's gone. The plot basically flew away. The plot basically flew away in the middle of the war. It's wild. I'm sorry. I do keep slightly looking at my viewfinder because my little shiny sword is distracting my little magpie brain. I think, honestly, obviously Rebecca came from writing romance books, and romance is amazing. I love romance books. A lot of the ones I read, they don't have a terrible amount of plot. The plot is boy meets girl, girl meets girl, boy meets boy, girl meets multiple boys, and so on and so forth, and falls in love and does the do's and such things. There's not a lot of plot. Unless you're sort of maybe diving into like Elsie Silver. I love the way she writes romance and she writes the plot at the same time. She gives you something to fight for in a relationship, and it's really, really good. I love how she writes that. But I don't feel like Rebecca knows how to expand from a romance. I think she gets romance and then the plot goes out the sideways window. I just don't think she's able to develop it further, especially in a series like a fantasy series where the plot is so heavy. In books like these, it's a 5-book long series. We need plot. We need a heavy plot. We need a plot that's got stuff going on, a plot that wants us to keep on and keep on and keep on reading. I feel like a lot of reviews I've seen for this book and a lot of the hype around it is because it is the Fourth Wing series. It is dragons. It's spicy dragon romance. And that is the height of the plot for people. They're not looking into it further. They just want that element of it, and that's fine. That's not me. If I'm reading a fantasy book, I want there to be plot. I don't know if anybody's read the likes of The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Chef's kiss. Plot-wise, stunning. Romance, brilliant. Love it. The plot, unreal. Absolutely fantastic. The likes of Empire of the Vampire, obviously male author this time. We love you, Jay Kristoff. Big shout out. Absolute king. Plot, unreal. I love it. It's hilarious. The book itself is amazing because it's got plot as well as the element of what's going on between the characters, but the plot is so good. I cried in the second book. I turned pages after pages. I'm nearly welling up now thinking about how that book ended. It was so good. That's what I want in a fantasy book. I don't give a flying hoot about sexy nice dresses and how much these people want to bang without frying each other. Okay, like I'm bored of it. After the second time, I'm bored of it. And it just goes on throughout the whole book. The whole book. Like, it's so boring. And then on to what was the cliffhanger from book 2, which is Xaden turning into a Venom. Now we spend from the first chapter to nearly the end of this book, nearly the entire, 500 and something pages, is it? Let me double check. We spend 527 pages nearly waiting. Just waiting. He never turns full Venom until potentially the end. But we don't really know because it ends on the most dumb cliffhanger. Like, it just ends as if it's mid-chapter. Like, I genuinely read page 527, turned the next page waiting for something else, and there was nothing there. Like, you know when a cliffhanger is so good because you kind of know it's coming, and it genuinely, you're like, this had me shocked because I was like, is my book missing pages? Like, did I miss something here? It just stopped. And honestly, it didn't make much sense. Like, that whole, I think, final chapter, 2 chapters, didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. It literally, we were sitting waiting for Xaden to turn into a Venom. It's basically, the entire book is, will he, won't he? Ooh, he's draining a little bit of power from the bed frame. Ooh, he's draining a little bit of power from over here. But is he going to go full Venom? We don't know. The whole book. 500 and something odd pages. And we don't even know if he's the bad guy or not yet. Like, what the frick? Like, he literally just spends the whole time whining about, I don't know if I can control myself around you. Oh, I don't know if I can control myself around our friends and our dragons and blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I can control myself standing on fresh, bloody grass. Like, Christ almighty, man. And he is obsessively protective with Violet. Like, obsessively to a point that you're like, right, lad, calm down. She's not going anywhere. Like, you've literally got her in your house. Like I said, Rebecca, I personally don't think knows how to continue the plot. And this is, it should be a huge part of the plot. And really, we should have known at least midway through this book what was going on with him. Because this has ended the exact same way, near enough, as book 2, where we still don't really know. He drains power to see if he can save someone he loves. It's the exact same ending as book 2. Like, we got nothing. Except we lost a dragon. And didn't even die. It just flew off in the middle of a war. Like, we got nothing from this book. Side character wise, they're very forgettable. I just don't know. Like, Ray's cute. Like, she's there, I suppose, during a lot of it. Jasmina, whatever you call her, the scribe, again, she's there. Like, her romance subplot sort of thing is kind of cute, but like, it's very minimal. Like I said earlier, Riddick, we want more of him. He's funny. He's cool. I actually like his character. He is one of the more memorable characters. And to be honest, book 4 should just be Riddick's book. I'll read that. I don't care. Chuck Xaden and Violet to the side for a whole book. We just want a Riddick book. Like, literally give me his adventures, because that'd be funny. He's actually a memorable character. The rest of them, I can hardly remember them. Can't even hardly remember their names, to be perfectly honest with you. There's a very small handful that I remember. Dragon-wise, Tern, again, is an icon. Like, his lines are funny, but he's supposed to be this big badass dragon, and he's kind of providing comedic relief to a fantasy book. I don't know. I just personally, I don't know. I kind of feel like she's letting the whole plot, the characters go. It's a little bit of fan service at this point in terms of just like romance. Oh, here's a funny dragon. Romance. Sibling wise, Myra and Brandon, they're cool. Myra's the coolest. I like her character. She's sassy. She's badass. She is cool. I really, really enjoy reading her parts that she is featured in. Brandon's kind of boring. Like, I don't know. He's like the dad that kind of comes and goes from your life, but is never really about and comes to visit like Christmas and your birthday. Like, that's kind of the vibe I get from him. Like, I don't know. He just doesn't seem that important, to be honest. Flipping back to Arndana, I don't know. Like, I just feel like the whole her leaving was very anti-dragon, because did we not harp on in book 1 about dragon's loyalty and, like a rider without their dragon, a dragon without their rider, blah, blah, blah. How loyal they're supposed to be to their rider. And she just goes, later and flies off. Like, literally abandons Violet. I don't get it. Like, the whole book is just full of bits where I was reading it and I was like, like, it just didn't make sense. I feel like she's made Ardana a real brat. Like, unlikable. She's made her really, really unlikable. And is she not supposed to be like this great omen of a dragon? Like, she's supposed to, save things and, she fried a venom, like that. Like, she's supposed to be one of the good ones. And here she is, breaking her bond with her rider, abandoning her rider. Like, she just sweeps aside all of a dragon's redeeming qualities. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm sorry. I just don't get it. So all in all, there's my thoughts. Yeah. I did say that people wouldn't probably like it. I'm not going to sit here and say a book is good and say I loved a book just because it's a hyped book. I was the same with Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I did not like it. I think I was very clear in my review of it. I think it is a ripoff of The Hunger Games and Red Queen. It's not good. The writing's childish. But we're not gonna get into that book in here because that's a whole other rant. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say I like a book just because it's a book talk fave or it's really hyped or it's like the next big thing. I don't care. I didn't like it. It was low rated for me. There was some redeeming qualities in it, and most of those were from side characters or the dragons, not the main characters. Plot was crap. There was no plot really, let's be honest. The romance was boring, repetitive, and I'm sorry. I really like, it does pain me to do negative reviews. I will be honest. I don't like doing it, but this is one of the biggest releases of the year and I've been asked to do this. So I'm going to do it because people want to hear about it. And I'm sitting on here for about half an hour now ranting about a book about dragons on a Friday afternoon. So yeah, that's my life right now. But yeah, I'm glad you guys sat through and watched this. If you did, thank you very much. I will do some more reviews in the future on other books. I've probably going to do a couple on some books that I actually enjoy that you guys might want to hear about. Yeah, going to come back with some more unboxings as well and a couple more different bits and bobs. I'm potentially going to do a little like vloggy day in my life thing. I'm also going to be going to Rare in London in July. So if you want to see a vlog, let me know because I kind of want to do that. I need to actually get a little vlogging camera because otherwise I'm just going to use my phone. And I've got a couple other bookish bits coming up. So yeah, let me know what you think. And thank you for sitting through my review on Onyx Storm. Like I said, it was not great, but make your own judgments on a book. Don't let me tell you what to think of a book. Go and read it, make your own judgments, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Bye. Don't eat the microphone.